Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 5. So the last proper episode of The Flash Season 5 that we all watched outside of the Elseworlds crossover was of course that of Episode 8, otherwise known as 100th episode for the entire show. Now that episode of course saw us follow Barry and Nora as they time travel to various points in the history of the show to retrieve various little trinkets, if we want to call them, in order to build a device to potentially negate Cicada's dagger. And in turn, of course, defeat Cicada. Of course, things don't always go to plan though, and that is what we saw happen in that end fight scene. So Cicada lives to fight another day, as well as his dagger. But as we've seen in the past on the show, time traveling is, well, it's risky business. Now the show has really embraced sort of a rough concept of the butterfly effect on the show, where you can go back and even the slightest alteration can mean big changes, or at least noticeable changes. Even if you plan out exactly what you will be doing in that time period, you can't equate for everything. And if you go back to the 100th episode, sure, they had a plan, but that plan was really just around what they had to retrieve to build their anti-Cicada device, and when they had to go back to in order to retrieve it. There wasn't an overall precise plan of exactly what steps to take and all of that for Nora and Barry. Really, when those two started time traveling, they just basically freeballed and freestyled the mission. And due to that, you would expect a mistake or two. And it does seem like that is exactly what has happened, and we know that due to an article and interview posted online. So this is coming from GameSpot, who were able to have a chat with a few people involved with the show following the 100th episode. I will leave a link down below to it if you want to go check it out, but obviously it is easier to listen than to read. But of course, let me know all of your various opinions down there in the comments section down below, whether you agree with what I say in this video or disagree, or just your general overall opinions. Of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, it would be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. And of course, this video should be coming out on Christmas Day in Australia. I'm Australian, so I may as well wish everyone a Merry Christmas when it's going to be Christmas my time. So Merry Christmas to everyone that celebrates it. If you don't, just happy holidays. Hopefully everyone has a good time with family, and just, stay safe. But yeah, as I said, the 100th episode of The Flash has us, the audience, watch Barry and Nora time travel to various points in the show's history, which of course was an awesome thing for fans to see that had been watching the show, since season 1, episode 1. But this is what Nora Allen herself, that being Jessica Parker Kennedy, actually thought about the 100th episode before she was even involved properly with it. I really didn't think I'd have a big part of it, because I always sort of felt like the 100th episode should represent everyone that had been in the show, so I was so surprised when I knew I was going to be such a huge part of it. And I think it might have come as a bit of a surprise to some viewers as well, with how much Nora was in the 100th episode, saying she was really only properly introduced this season, with a handful of minute-long cameos, if not less, last season. Really, Nora has been the female lead this season, which is a bit strange when you think about it, seeing that it is extremely unlikely that she, will be on the show next season. But anyway, to end the 100th episode off, we saw Nora go to the future and Iron Heights, for us, in a not very surprising reveal, find out that Nora was actually working with Reverse Flash. Now, it's going to be interesting to see why she is working with him and what she gets out of it specifically, even though I think we all have a, pretty decent idea as to what exactly that could be. But this is what Jessica had to say specifically on that relationship moving forward, or that partnership, might I say. There's something going on, but we don't understand exactly what it is. Obviously, as the season goes on, that will make sense, but I think the biggest thing is Nora good when there's a part of Nora that's bad? What are the reasons she's there? But with Reverse Flash coming back into the picture, he isn't a fresh face. We've had him show up many times before on not only The Flash, but also on Season 2 of Legends of Tomorrow, where he was the main villain. So how do you bring back such a popular, former character, but also try and keep them fresh and new? Well, this is what Tom Cavanagh, who of course plays Reverse Flash, had to say on, all of that. I always think if you're fortunate enough to be on a long-running TV show, maybe you don't necessarily have to reinvent, but it's best not to get too staged in. What you present to the viewership, because I think they know, an occasional incognition in one way or another. I think that would take in the classic villain, keeping him the classic villain, but showing a different era or different side or different aspect, if you will, with it was enjoyable. And then Todd Helbing, the producer or showrunner on the show, did go deeper into this, but also introduced a key new term to keep in mind with the character of Reverse Flash for this season. We don't want to just do the same villain over and over, and if we had the exact same attitude with Eobard Thawne that we've seen this whole time, that's not going to be interesting either. So he was part of the pitch from the beginning, and I think what we really wanted to do was just see a different attitude from Thawne that we hadn't. See him in a different light, and you know, there's a big theme of legacy this season. And so when we started talking about that with every other character, and then we got to Thawne, it's like, what does legacy mean to him? So that's what we start to touch on in the background. Now, introducing the theme of legacy with not just your hero, in this case the Flash, but also your villain or a villain in the form of Reverse Flash, that just creates a lot of added intrigue that at least I have with what they are planning to do with the character this season. And also, in this interview, Todd did confirm that both Sherlock and Reverse Flash are not the same, which people had started to theorize after both had quoted the clever girl line from Jurassic Park. It's just a reference, guys. The Flash show loves using them pop culture references. It's season 5. We should all know that by now. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't be keeping, a close eye on Sherlock, as Todd did say that he has a different agenda than Thawne. But the main man himself, that being Grant Gustin, who actually did get married last week. I haven't mentioned it before, so we will just... I'll just chuck my congratulations there. So congratulations to Grant for getting married. Well, he had this to say about the effects of Nora and Barry time traveling in episode 100 and interacting with some, not so discreet moments in the past. I feel like towards the end of the season is where we're going to see what kind of repercussions episode 100 had. There's something that will happen probably way down the line that you realize, but no, right now we're not playing in the same way like that we do. Now, many people think that the Zoom situation in the 100th episode is what could be the issue that Team Flash, faces later in the season, that Zoom will return. But personally, I can't see that happening. If anything, the effect of Nora and Barry time traveling will have to do with Reverse Flash. We did see that fairly long scene between himself, Reverse Flash, Barry and Nora while he fixed the Speed Force transmitter for them. So it wouldn't surprise me if this altercation and that conversation between this core group of characters is what causes some issues going forward. But we will jump into some viewer questions from my last Flash video. If you have any more that you want answered at the end of videos over this break, be sure to leave them in the comment section down below. The first one comes from Paul, who asked, is the Gideon from The Flash and Gideon from Legends of Tomorrow the same? And the answer to that is no, they're actually different. So I don't know if they still sound the same. If they do, they changed it because obviously season 1 and I think season 2 were voiced by Miranda Baccarin, who is whatever her name is, Lee on Gotham, and also she's from Deadpool as well. So Gideon and on The Flash and Gideon from Legends are different. They established that on Legends. It's just like a base AI, but they're different. It's hard to explain it. Legends explain it better, but they are different. That's the easiest way to answer that question. The next question comes from Weed Thrasher, who asked, will Cisco's damn hands ever heal? He's been wearing bandages for months. And the answer to that is, I'm gonna guess so. I'm guessing just because he was cut by that dagger, that's why they might be taking a while to heal. But as we've seen, Cisco can still use his powers in like a half-decent way, so it just seems that Cisco won't be too heavily involved with fighting. It's just more he can open up breaches, and obviously if he does vibe, it does seem to have a pretty heavy effect on him. So in regards to breaching, I think he's fine. It's just really if he's going to keep vibing, then he might start to hurt himself. But I'm going to guess they're going to heal. Jordan asked, when will they show the future Flash versus Reverse Flash when they fight in his old house? And it's been long presumed or assumed and just predicted that that fight follows Barry and Reverse Flash disappearing in 2024 in the Crisis event, because what was said is that they had a talk, looked like they were arguing, and then they both ran away and disappeared. So it's long been predicted and assumed that that's where they go to, and then when Barry returns, that's when he disappears, and it could be because his destiny changed because Reverse Flash killed his mother. It's hard to know what happened there exactly, but that's, when a lot of people think that the future Flash and Reverse Flash would go back and fight on the night that Barry's mother was murdered. And then the last question comes from and I don't know. And they asked, after watching this, why is the Flash Museum at Star Labs if no one knows Barry's the Flash? It's like having a Batman museum at Wayne Enterprises. And it's a good question. I think we talked about it earlier on when the Flash Museum was first introduced at the end of, during episode 3, might I say. And I just assumed that maybe Star Labs is the one that starts it, you know, because I don't know if the city would be able to build a building and stuff like that. So maybe Star Labs offers it or something like that. Who knows? Because if the Flash isn't around, there'd be no use to using Star Labs as the hideout anymore, and it's not really being used for any sort of scientific stuff at the moment. So maybe that's what happens there. I don't know. I think it's just convenience for the most part, to be completely honest. But yeah, guys, that's it. So if you enjoyed the video, it would be awesome if you could drop a like on the video to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on what we went over in this video, as well as any other questions you have. As I said, Merry Christmas to everyone. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.